Hello, Bame Farm fans. It's been a week. Nice and dry, made lots of hay. And I haven't necessarily showed off all the baling because that's what I'm always doing, always baling, and nothing's gone too awry except for what happened to the mower, and I didn't necessarily have the camera with me. So, we've already seen me take all of this all apart when I had to put new bolts in the gearbox a few weeks ago. And I didn't think much of it, but there was a little bit of oil on the bottom of the shaft. The seal was leaking, but I checked it and there was oil in it, enough oil. I'm like, okay, so it seeps. It's gonna happen. Well, apparently that seep turned into a big old leak and there was no oil, and we gotta go see the carnage in here. Come into the darkness. I'll whip out a light. And we'll illuminate the problem. I don't know if you can kind of see the bluing on the teeth of the gear. Yeah, those got hot, and the surface isn't perfectly smooth. That would need a little bit of filing to make it smooth. The bearings definitely got hot. And I don't know if you can see, yeah, that bearing started to come apart. It actually locked up, and the race is turning in the casting. And you can kind of see the glitter down in there. Yep, something. It didn't go well, didn't go great. It still turned, but all of a sudden I heard a difference. Like I was lifted the mower up, was making a turn, I heard the tractor load up, and then sound changed. I'm like, well, the tractor shouldn't have any drag because there's, no grass going through. Well, you live and you learn, and sometimes have expensive mistakes, but we're gonna make things better. I got a lot of parts coming, spent way too much money, got a whole new gearbox coming. Pottinger at least has a few parts in the US for these things. Maybe not at my local dealer to have it today, but if UPS is fast, I shall see it tomorrow. But we're gonna make things better. We got a new top hat here with holes coming, so we can get in to actually grease that, because when we had the gearbox out last time, yeah, there's grease circs on that drive shaft there. But no way to get into them without taking everything apart, essentially. So we're going to make that better and more easily maintenanced. So hopefully a lot longer life. And I got a whole new gearbox coming. I don't know if there was an update. Hopefully there's an update. I tried looking up this gearbox. It was made by Comer, and I could not find anything online to go directly to Comer for that gearbox. But, Comer made gearboxes for lots of other spaghetti machines, cheap bush hogs, you name it. It's out there, but they're obviously not all the same exact box. All they have their different specifications for horsepower requirements. So that's where we're at. I'm getting pretty good at taking this apart and putting it back together. I'll be able to do it in my sleep, unfortunately, but that is the joys of used equipment. And I've also learned that you don't have to take the conditioner all the way off to get in. You can just take the one pin loose and pull it back. So tomorrow we'll jump for joy when the gearbox comes, but that is, you say, the update on fixing. So hopefully I can get this apart nicely, and we'll be on our way to ease and perfect maintenance, and hopefully a long life and lots of greasing and love and care. This thing's gonna have to be my baby for a long time. Ahead and made the executive decision to just cut a window and be done with it, because reaching down from the top and all the heat blowing back up, it was just not going well. So we're not going to be able to reuse this nicely if I ever need to. I don't see why I would, but we'll let this cool a hot second, see if we can't pull the shaft out of there now. But you know what makes me really mad? All that work because I was having trouble with the impact, and it slipped into forward. And those are flanged bolts with grooves, if you can see that. So I think it just got it like too tight and then rounded it off, and those little grooves were catching in. It's not like it was rusted in or nothing. Would have been nice if it wasn't, so I didn't have to destroy my top hat here. I have a new one coming, but I didn't want to destroy it. I was hoping to play nice. Oh well. This thing, the crosses seem in pretty good shape. And there's grease fittings that, of course, never been used because they were never accessible. Wow. Yeah, look at that. I definitely got in there with the flange part all right. And then this one we need to replace that grease zerk. I think I've got one in my metric box. I have a collection with metric options. So hopefully this will be more serviceable and will last a long time and not be a problem. Well, it's a glorious day. I managed to find a metric zerk. We have a small collection of metric zerks. Just probably randomly picked up from a dealership that was closing is my guess. Hopefully we didn't get that too hot. We're going to pump this full of grease now. Oh, and look at that. Best day ever. We're always near the end of the route for UPS. And look at all this. There is a lot of money sitting in these boxes, but hopefully it's going to make mowing better, greater, or at least get us back going again. We almost got this first box open. Instead of putting some cardboard in the boxes, they just used packing tape to hold a little bit of cardboard together. Okay, paper. Yeehaw. One big right angle gearbox. Some assembly will be required. Yeah, same part number as mine. I wonder if I wanted mine back at all. We got to get our pulley on there. That paint's a little painted, and I got to transfer, hopefully, my plug with the dipstick on it'll fit there. But it's a gearbox, it turns. Oh, there's the dipstick tube. They tape it on there. Good deal. Okay, let's see what else. If there's anything else in here. No. The remnants of a packing slip. Their packing quality leaves a lot to be desired. I bet I know what this is. So we needed the gearbox, but I'm just trying to make things better. Well, better. Like that right there, so we can get to it. We should have a bunch of pieces to replace that first tower for accessibility. There we go. Yes, an accessible tower. So we can get in there and grease it. And there's a ton of hardware to go with it. Lovely. Bolts. Some of these bolts hold something on. Those look like gearbox bolts. Hopefully there's more than just those two. Oh well, I can get those at the local hardware if we have to. And this should be the turtle, because the old one was all one piece. That thing looks a lot smaller than that big old contraption. See, we have tape holding on our tape with more tape. Would we like some tape with our tape? Kill a few trees, would you? That's the only thing that scares me about European equipment. It's made to be used once, and then you get a new one. The fact that I could get parts is surprising. Yay, we have books. All that for these books. And a turtle. Ah, it's upside down. Let's see. Okay. We'll figure this out eventually, because that sits on top like yay, so... The joy of not new equipment is it has its quirks, and we can see like that rust spot matches right there, so we make sure we put this in the same exact spot. Sitting over our holes. Gotta set our turtle on. When we set it on, we gotta make sure to put our blades back on and pick the correct direction of travel, because there are lefts and rights of these. I never realized that. Am I putting these back on? Yes. Are they pretty? Absolutely not. But for the custom job I have coming up, we just need pieces of metal swinging out there. It's actually a really tight fit. Like the way they spring down on to the holder there, it's actually very stiff, and they'd never turned before. So hopefully I can line this all up nicely without too much trouble. As long as they're sitting over the holes, we should be able to set our turtle on and be good. Yeah. Yeah, that's very springy. And before we get this in here, I'm gonna make sure it takes grease. And then hope that somebody in engineering was smart enough for how these grease zerks are pointed at the corners and everything lines up, that it won't be bolted to where they're pointing at one of these columns or whatever. I could see that happening. Okay, well, there hasn't been much grease in this in ages. Some's coming out. Hopefully enough of it got to all the places that need it. That one was dry. And then that thing's pointing at the bottom. There we go. This one's never been used. See how rusty it is in there. 10 years of no grease. Who knows how many acres. Well, it's starting out easy. I don't know if the grease was originally that color, or that's the color it became from like the factory. But I know what I'm putting in is not that color of red-ish brown. Yippee skippy. I have to take note of this. The wind blew it away. But right there, I'm pretty sure. Yes, a 4-leaf clover. And another 4-leaf clover. Hopefully that's good luck for this thing. One thing I realized is that's probably supposed to be a 4-leaf clover. So maybe, with some luck, we will have a successful end to the rest of hay season here. And if nobody's noticed, I'm actually really good at finding 4-leaf clovers on accident. I don't try. I don't know how we left off, but this is where we're at, because I had to go plug the camera in. Got all these bolts on. The countersinking is annoying because these aren't exact replacement bolts. It's a flange washer, we'll say, with a nut. And this is what makes me really mad about metrics. Those were 16 millimeter before. Now they're 17. And you see how countersunk that one is? It's probably for balance. Balance in, the PTO part there. That it sits way down in the metal. And it was a bear to get a wrench on that. So, yeah, that is not standardized. SAE, one shank will always have the same size cap typically. But I've run into so many metrics where you have the same size shank and you get 3 different cap sizes or something stupid and 7 different threads. Oh yeah, had to shine that up because the new turtle must sit a little lower and it was interfering, so I removed some metal and I put on a new set of blades to test how much metal I needed to remove on that one. We won't be able to see that when it's running, so we can just forget about having to modify the frame, but this thing's been adulterated well before I ever got it. We're just trying to make it somewhat usable. Gearbox time. This is a fun thing I've never seen before. There were these big set screws in the side here that held the pulley onto this base piece. I guess that's what we'll call it, kind of a wedge. So now I gotta get the wedge loose. I've dealt with different versions on electric motors where the pulley comes off and then you gotta somehow get the wedge off. Should just be able to drive a screwdriver in there and get it to come off, but the sun's getting low, yard light's about to come on, and I'm bound and determined to get this done tonight. That's why I parked it right here underneath the yard light a week ago, knowing I was probably gonna be working after dark because the parts wouldn't come early in the day. Okay, I'm just playing here, and somehow that got it to move up just by using the screwdriver's leverage wedged in the opening here. We started to make some progress. Not enough, but we can re-wedge and just hope we get lucky that newer things aren't always fully rusted together, hopefully. Yay, that is off. Need to get our key out, and that's how we know it is getting dark. The big light came on. Well, we gotta do the inverse and use these screws to put it back on. I managed to get the key out of the other shaft really easy. You just put a vice grips on it, pull it out, and we're lined up, and now we just need to tap it home. Pretend like some things are halfway lined up. I can probably get that out of there now that we're going on just fine. And gently tap it home. Now we go down. So they got that groove there, and that's about how far we have to go down. I guess they made that as a marker there. There's threads on the pulley side, and then it's just bare smooth hole on this side, but it bottoms out. So eventually I'm going to run this little set screw in far enough that it's going to start pulling up the pulley against the wedge there. The problem is when it's spread, the holes don't all line up. So I got to get one of them in far enough because that's not lining up good. And I hope I didn't mess that up. I have discovered that you don't start by trying to pull the pulley up real tight. You got to start with it really loose in order to get these set screws started. If not, yeah, you can pull it up, but then both sides won't line up because it's trying to tighten and it's spread. It's just going to be a lot of turning this Allen wrench and then pulling it up. And see, that one has threads, so that's the locker. That one goes in last. Well, that looks like a lot of shiny new paint down here. I got the gearbox in. I got some, hopefully you can see the grease circle. Some direction through there. Probably not. They're facing some way. Yeah, that rubs a tiny bit. That'll fix itself. We're well bolted. Shields put in place down here. I'd say we're ready to roll, test it out, and see what happens. Yeah, I've discovered down there on this shaft, this greaser up here was broke because it was a 45. You see how far the drive shaft sticks through up top? Yeah, that had taken out greaser. So I put a 90 in there and hopefully I can get to it. I'm surprised this doesn't have grease zerks in the cap. See, at least with this machine I've come to notice, and even on my Krone Tedder, that metric and other European designs put the grease zerks in the cap, like right there, at the cross in the middle of the universal, which makes them really easy to get to, and that would be fantastic. But I'm not ready to have to put a cross in that yet. Trying to, not spend too much more on parts because we got absolutely annihilated on this one. So hopefully we made it more good or better to last longer, forever, and not have to need another one. That is always the plan. But I would still trade it in on a Krone, I think. Well, here we go. We're running again. Doing a little test strip. This is our first failed patch of sweet corn. That was right here. But it also has the same grass composition as the field we're going to be going to. A lot of barnyard grass, fall panicum. giant foxtail, hopefully not too much yellow. This is going to be a big old custom job because I don't need that much hay and I don't necessarily want any of it just because, well, if there's a ton of foxtail, it's going to be hard to move. And I'll do just as well in the custom rate and not have to deal with moving the bales. So far, the mower's holding together. When we get done, we'll hop off and feel how hot everything is. But it shouldn't be, because it's all brand new and fresh. Well, that gearbox has the standard heat. I can always see the glass on that one. Now, see, surprisingly, they did ship that full of oil, and I checked it. And that gearbox just gets warm. And we work our way around here somewhere. Sneak in the side. Hey. They don't. There's no heat. Now there's a gear underneath that bolt. And that's not even warm. So that's a good sign. Of course, we've got a much larger mass here, like holding the heat than say those other gearboxes. That's not gonna be fantastic ever. I think I'm missing some shield pieces, so we're gonna keep a big old eye on this. And I probably need to call Pottinger to get other shield pieces. There's supposed to be something mounted there, and the problem is I don't even know what I'm missing. Like, I need to know what I'm missing to know what I need, or to, you know, because I didn't have a parts manual. I didn't have any manual, so I was just kind of guessing. I really need to look into that shielding up top. I never had it wrap necessarily with the other top hat here, so we're gonna have to do lots more investigating and keep a very close eye on this. If not, well, at least there's a year warranty and make them send me another gearbox when it runs out of oil, right? I always thought that was a tighter fit. Huh. Not. Grease that up good. I did not realize there was so much play potential. We're just learning things all the way around. Well, it's either going to go really well or I'm going to have an expensive boat anchor. Preferably, it's going to go well. Yeah, live and learn and only die once.